On to president number 3, good old Thomas Jefferson, good old TJ. And he was very well liked for the most part, and he did some pretty great things. He did make one kind of not so great decision that we'll talk about today, but for the most part, Thomas Jefferson, TJ, was a great president. So let's go ahead and jump in talking about what were some of the events and some of the great things about Thomas Jefferson's presidency. Event number 1, you should know this very, very well by now, that in the year 1803, remember that date, extremely, extremely important, Thomas Jefferson buys the Louisiana Territory from France, and it becomes known as the Louisiana Purchase. Now this purchase expands, it doubles the United States. So we bought land from the Mississippi River to the Rocky Mountains. So now our territorial boundaries, the boundaries of the United States, goes from the Atlantic Ocean all the way to the Rocky Mountains. Now, some key facts about this. We bought it from France, and the other key fact is that it gave the United States control of the Mississippi River and New Orleans, which was huge for shipping, trading, transportation, a really big deal to have full control of the Mississippi River. Now, in order to check out all this new land, because we didn't really know what we bought, Jefferson sends out Lewis and Clark with their guide Sacagawea. So he sends them out, they draw maps, they do research, they talk to people, they see what the land was like that the United States actually just bought. So remember, Louisiana Purchase, 1803. Now, the real big issue during Jefferson's presidency was that Jefferson had to deal with England again. This is different from John Adams. John Adams dealt with France. Thomas Jefferson deals with England. England and France were still fighting, but the United States was still trading with both of them. Now, the problem that England started creating was that they started stopping our boats, but they weren't taking our cargo. France took our cargo. France took our stuff. Instead, England was taking our sailors, and they were making the sailors fight for them against France. So England would stop our boats, they would get onto our boats, they would take our sailors off the boats, and they would make them fight for them. They would make them fight for England against France. Now, this is known as the fancy word impressment. Now, impressment just means they were capturing men and forcing them to fight for them. Okay, so impressment. So England starts impressing our soldiers, or using impressment to capture our soldiers. So now Thomas Jefferson is left with a decision. What do I do about England and them impressing our soldiers? Now, Jefferson could have decided to go to war with England, but he also believed in Washington's statement of neutrality and also Adams' foreign policy of neutrality. So he wanted to stay neutral. So what he decided to do, that if the problem was England taking our sailors because we were trading with them, maybe we should just stop trading with Europe altogether. Let's just stop it. Let's just not trade with them. So Jefferson creates a law called the Embargo Act. And the Embargo Act was just a law saying that no one from the United States could trade with Europe. That means no boats from the United States could go over to Europe and take things to sell. Because if they did, then that means that they would be kidnapped and impressed and told to fight for England. So Jefferson's way of staying neutral was just saying, let's just not trade with them anymore. Not a big deal. But it was a big deal because the Embargo Act ends up hurting the economy, because without trade, we can't make money. So this was kind of the one not so great thing that Jefferson did. Yes, he did buy the Louisiana Territory and the Louisiana Purchase. He got us full control of the Mississippi River and New Orleans. But the bad thing that he did was the Embargo Act, because it ends up hurting our economy. That about sums up the events of Thomas Jefferson's presidency. Just remember the Louisiana Purchase, 1803, and the Embargo Act that stopped England from impressment of our sailors. Remember those two things. Those are the two biggest things that happened during Thomas Jefferson's presidency.